Hi, China. I noticed that you took an interest in my doings. I want to tell you guys a story, The Chinese. It's a novel that I'm writing. It takes place in Florida. I guess it would start around 2004 or 5, probably would be the time. It's a young guy who lives in Florida, who has a history with the United States government, state level and federal too. And he's in for a wild ride with the Chinese. He doesn't know it yet, but he's in Florida, and what happens is his family gets what do you call it? Their identities get stolen, and imposters are sent to impersonate everyone around him. Now, our hero in the story is not the only American person who has this happen. But there's a lot of identity theft around him, and he realizes that there's intruders in his life, okay? He realizes that they're Chinese. They're around him, okay? And they come into his room, they come into his house when he doesn't want them to come in. When he's incapacitated or tired, they might drug him, to try to do fraud. And our hero just can't figure it out. But, so he goes to war. It's the war in his living room. And he makes gains because he starts to realize that these Chinese operatives cannot adapt. They get a certain set of orders, and they cannot detract from them. So our hero realizes that he goes through stages with the Chi-Coms and their subordinates of trying to reason with them at first. Like, no, actually, you're not allowed to come into my house. No, you're not allowed to, steal my identity. No, you have to leave. And all the problems. Because it was obvious that these Chinese operatives had not ever encountered anybody who would even know that they were there, let alone put up a resistance and tell them to leave. So our hero goes through this, and this goes on for years and years and years and years with the Chinese, and then it moves on to other people as well in our next book. But for right now, he ends up, it's like they don't know how to react. And he can't reason with them because they don't know how to reason. So he ends up having to push them out. Okay, push them out. Well, they don't know what to do. They don't like it, but our hero is going to push them out his front door and tell them not to come back. Okay? Well, they come back to the point where our hero has now pushed these Chi-Coms out of his house 100 times. He's tried to reason with them. So he hauls off and just starts using violence against them. The first time it happens, our hero hits this Chinese guy in the temple and knocks him out. Okay, and the woman who's with him is hysterical, and they don't know what to do, so he knocks her out too. And he drags both of them to the front door and throws them out. Okay, so that starts going on. Well, pretty quickly we realize, okay, now they're going to fight back. Our hero figures out, okay, so they're not just going to stand there and be silent, act like they're invisible. They're not just going to allow me to hit them anymore because now they're attacking back. Well, now they've entered into our hero's territory. So, fights. Well, the thing about the Chinese is that they've really pissed off some of their own people who came here to America. Some Chinese people who were from China and came to America don't like the Chinese government, and they don't like the fact that they will do this in our novel. That the Chinese will send people into your house, they'll tranquilize you, drug you, rape you, steal your stuff, identity theft, fraud. Is an act of war because China's constantly been at war with the United States, but they're cowardly, so they try to keep it very low key. Well, a restaurant owner picked up on this, and he was connected to whoever who could train our hero in how to be more effective, how to be more deadly when they show up, when you're incapacitated, when you're not supposed to even be able to be conscious, when they can do whatever they want to you, okay? So he goes through this training where he's put through every last thing in that incapacitated state that he'd never want to go through. Sex that he doesn't want, attacks like pain, but he's paralyzed, he can't move. He's semi-conscious, but he can't connect his brain to his body to move his body until one day he's able to. And it really shows that, the power of the mind, the speed that our hero is able to show, it's not a bodily thing, it's a mental thing. So he's good now. And he goes on fighting these Chinese for the longest time. And it gets brutal. And he wins. Because the Chinese, they came with this approach that one man, we have many, right? We will just constantly send more and more people against our hero, or their hero. And he will eventually settle for something. He'll stop, he'll be defeated. But it didn't happen that way. The Chinese eventually just stopped coming around. So, that's my novel. That's just one of them. So, yeah. Years of that, though. And we could even connect it to modern politics. Let's say that our hero really was fighting a covert war and won, or at least brought them to heel, the Chinese government, okay? And how people started finding out more and more that this was going on, that this guy is good, and he beat the Chi-Coms. So everybody starts, not everybody, but people do start waking up, like, hey, those are their tactics. That is what they do. And then you had this kind of political change where maybe we can even put a little sticker on our hero that says, I paved the way for Donald Trump out of Florida by annihilating any Chi-Com that I saw, or any traitorous Democrat, or any foreigner, and we could give him a little sticker. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think?